Hi, so today I'd like to talk about a topic that's a little awkward for a lot of people, and that is how to quote. Specifically, how to quote for headshots and commercial photography in general. I've been using the same method for years, not just in the photography industry, but in other industries to win jobs. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. I'll step you through the process of how I do it, how I communicate with clients, how I actually do the quotes, and I'll actually show you some screen grabs along the way of how the whole process works. I'm excited to show it to you. But if you're new to the channel, my name is Richard. I'm a full-time photographer here in Australia. I own this studio. We actually specialise in boudoir photography, but we continue to do headshot photography because I've done that for years, which I'll get into in a minute. Our studio turns over multiple six figures per annum. Our goal, and we keep creeping towards it, is to turn over well over $1 million per annum. And I make these videos because I really enjoy talking about the business of photography and helping other photographers where I can. So if you have been following along with the channel a little bit, you'll be aware that we mainly specialise in portrait photography, specifically our boudoir photography. But I've always done headshot photography. So back when I started at our other studio, it's one of the things I really concentrated on. And it's been a really good thing, and I think it's actually a good thing for most people to get into. And the reason it's a good thing is because it can be a source of, recurring work. Like, we get a lot of companies sending their new hires to update their headshots and things like that for the website or LinkedIn or whatever the case may be, okay? And also, it's quick and easy work, and so that's why we continue to do it. And the way that we have it structured now is, we've kind of eased back on it quite a bit because we're very busy with the other, but typically I will try and do those photo shoots, like 8 or 8:30 in the morning and get them done before our regular clients come in. That works really well for everyone because, generally speaking, people who want to get headshots will want to get it out of the way and done early in the day so it doesn't take up the whole day. Now, just to explain a little bit more, the way that I've set up the marketing for these now is via our website. We rank #1 on Google for that, which is good, but you can, if you want to get into this, you could pay for Google advertising. That would work just as well. But ours is, the way that I've set it up, and this is very, very intentional, is it's very, very transactional. And what I mean by that is, I'll put a link in the description, but if you scroll through the website, you'll see what I mean. It's pretty straightforward. It's just one page, a bunch of examples, a bunch of social proof, like how many reviews we've got, the clients we've worked for. Scroll down a bit. I've got like pricing from, to give an indication of pricing. Side note that I used to have pricing on the website, but I actually found it was more confusing than helpful. So in the end, I removed it and put a from pricing from, just to weed out the people who think they're going to get headshots for $10 or something like that. So there's that. And then there's a contact form and a few other bits and pieces and some other stuff to make us look, to make us look professional. So what will typically happen is you'll get an email or a phone call come in, and it will generally be, we need headshots done for something, and usually it's for website overhauls or they've gone bald or they're wearing glasses now or something like that, or something's changed and they need new headshots, okay? And then the next thing is, how much and when can you do it? That's typically the questions you get. And so that's what I'd like to talk to you about today, is run you through that process of taking that inquiry, converting it into dollars. Now, one thing worth mentioning at this stage is, I'll get this out of the way at the beginning, and a lot of people think this is the case, but it's not about who is the cheapest. In fact, it's far from that. It's who they feel they can like and trust, and they can trust to have into their organization, or trust to come to your studio and do a good job. Because what you've got to remember, these are busy people, and the thing they care about more than anything is time. They don't want, they don't want to have to come and do it again. Often they've had bad experiences with other studios and things like that. They just want a good job and done well and done in a prompt and quick manner. So, having said all that, let me walk you through exactly what a job looks like when we get the inquiry all the way through to completion. So, this is a typical inquiry that's come in. I've deliberately chosen one that's super basic because this is pretty standard stuff. It's come in from this lady called Courtney, and she says she found us on Google, and she goes on to say, we're hoping to have some headshots done for 3 of our employees located on the Sunshine Coast, which is where our studio is. We're happy to come to your studio. If we could please receive a quote for this service, that would be greatly appreciated. And again, that's typically what happens. So what normally happens is, these businesses are owned by whoever, and it's usually, in the case of multiple employees, this job of getting the photography sorted out is typically delegated either to like the receptionist at the front or a personal assistant. So the inquiries come in, what do you do next? Look, I'll tell you the secret to winning work, and it's very straightforward. That is, contact them immediately. I can't stress this enough. The amount of work I've gotten over the years because I just picked up the phone and called them when the inquiry came in, or call them back in a timely manner, just a timely manner in general, rather than leaving it for days, or just answer the phone. I'm completely serious. The amount of work I've got, because people said, oh my God, someone actually picked up the phone, and I'll just book them on the spot on the phone. I'll just talk them through it. So there's that. That's the first thing I would do, is contact them. Now, how to contact them. I like to call them by phone, okay, and I like to find a reason to call them by phone. So for example, if you get an inquiry where they've got every single thing detailed that they need, okay, so they say, we want it done on this date if possible, we've got this many people at this location at this time, and blah, 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 where they're really specific, okay, I still try and find a reason to call them. And it could be as simple as, what style of photography do you want? Do you have any particular vibe that you want to give off? If you are family lawyers, for example, do you want to give off a positive, do you want to give off a friendly but professional vibe? I just find some reason to call them, because if you can call them up and speak to them like a human being and don't sound like an idiot, you are about 50% of your way to getting that job. I'm completely serious. Because even though you're dealing with, the personal assistant or the secretary or whatever, a lot of the time, what they recommend to their bosses goes a long, long way to you winning the job, because quite often they're the ones who have to organise it, they're the ones who have to coordinate it, they're the ones who have to wrangle the people to do these jobs, okay? And so they're going to recommend the people that they feel comfortable with. So I think that by not replying immediately with an email, okay, and talking to them very briefly, just have a normal human conversation, and what you'll find is that when you call them, you'll be amazed at how often they say, thank you so much for calling, and thank you for calling so quickly. And that will often just win you the job by default. Just to get off topic a little bit, I won a job with a major company, because they were having their conference up here, that came to $9,000. Just because I called them and answered them in a timely manner. All these other people didn't reply in a timely manner. Sometimes it's that simple. Honestly, it's not that hard to win these days. Everyone wants to communicate photographers especially want to communicate via email. For God's sake, pick up the phone and call people. I promise you, it makes all the difference. I'm really serious. So in that phone call or in the correspondence you've had, you will know what their requirements are. So I base the quote around that. So I'll show you that in a minute. But what I do then is I do up the quote, which I'll show you next, and I attach it to a really simple email that reads like this. It says, in this case, hi Courtney, thank you for the opportunity to quote your company for photography. As requested, I'm attaching a PDF for a quote for professional photography. Best regards, Richard Grenfell. Okay, and what you're looking at here is, if you're wondering what this is a screen grab from our CRM of the email that's been sent, and that's it there. Reading this now is not even very grammatically very good, but I still got the job. And the attachment's down here, which is a PDF. Small tip, this is from my days of doing IT work. Small tip, dates, see down the bottom there, next to the bit that's blocked out. I encourage you to put a date, okay, just so you know when you did the damn thing, and also have V1 as in version 1, because quite often these quotes will change, okay. And what I mean by that is more people will get added in, or different requirements will happen, or whatever. That's a really common thing to happen when you're dealing in business to business stuff. Someone will stick their nose in and say, oh, we want to do this as well. So then you can go, date V2. So you just know where you're up to in the quoting process. So that's worth doing. So the next bit is doing the actual quote on paper. Now, what I've got set up on my computer is I've got a whole bunch of templates set up. One is based for if they want to come to the studio. One is based for if I go to their location. One is based for event work, if you're doing really volume stuff, if you're doing a big job like that. But so my recommendation there is just spend some time getting the basic outline of your quote set up, so that when these quotes come in, all you have to do is fill in the blanks essentially. Okay, we'll just speed up the process. It's that work I put into the category of really valuable work to get done, and so you will reuse over and over again. So it's worth spending some time on the layout. So let me talk you through this. This is very deliberate. I didn't invent this. I got taught this when I was working business work in IT, okay? And I got taught this by someone who knew how to do it. And I've just basically adapted it to photography. So what you need to do is, first of all, have a letterhead. Just so you look professional. Because what you got to remember is that whoever gets this quote is going to be presenting to their boss. And so their boss is going to judge the professionalism of your quote on first impressions as well. So it's worth having a good quality looking letterhead. So this is what ours looks like. So it's got our logo here, it's got all our contact stuff here. You go date. I put all their details here, you know, who the company is for, and I'll put attention in this case, let's say it's Courtney Smith. That's not her name, let's say it is. I'll have attention Courtney Smith, and I'll launch in the quote. So I'll go, hello Courtney. Now, I'll try and keep these fairly short because no one reads anything, okay? So thank you for the opportunity to quote you on your photographic needs. Per your email and phone call, I understand your requirements to be as follows. 3 headshots done at our studio with the style to be confirmed, because we had a bit of a discussion on the phone about that. She wanted to talk with her people about how they wanted to come across, okay, and what they were going to wear and that type of thing, whether they were going to wear branded polos or I can't remember now. I think, oh no, might have been suits and ties, I can't remember. And also, as mentioned, I can supply a digital background so it can be used by other photographers interstate or internationally, because they're quite a big company. Okay, so apparently, if memory serves me correctly, what they were doing was going through a major rebrand. So one of the things that's worth trying to do when you're quoting business people is solve problems. And if you can be the guy that solves problems and predict problems that will come up, it will go a long way for you to winning jobs. So for example, a classic one is, they'll say, can we get the photographs done outside? Like, yeah, you're welcome to get them done outside, but just keep in mind that, you know, that means they've always got to be done outside. You know, so if things change or the weather changes or they cut the trees or paint the building or whatever the case may be, it means that the building's going to change or the location's going to change, which means that as time goes by, your team page is going to look very hodgepodge based up because all the backgrounds are going to be different. And you encourage them, you know, you might suggest to them that, you know, it might be worth doing them with a more studio background. And they think about that and go, oh, I see what you mean. So what's going on here, if memory serves me correctly, is they were going through this rebrand. And my suggestion was, well, because I was the first one doing it, I don't know why I was, but I was. My suggestion was that I could create a digital background for them. And I think I charged them just a little bit extra for that. I can't remember now. And I said, you're welcome to use it, you know, interstate and internationally, meaning they could take that digital background and when they get other photographers from around the place, they could easily composite those photos onto that digital background. So I'm just solving a problem for them. So that was what we talked about. Yeah, so I go on here to say comments and suggestions. So they're the requirements. And then I go on to say the comments and suggestions. I say, if you're starting from scratch or doing a complete rebrand, go for a white or pale background. The reason is it's super versatile and graphic designers will love you for it when creating marketing materials. Also, they look good at the bottom of quotes or tenders like in this quote. So that line in there is quite deliberate. What I'm saying there is that I understand what they do. You know, I've got an appreciation for the way they trade. So whoever reads that go, oh, that's a good idea. We could put them at the bottom of our tenders. You know what I mean? So again, you're kind of solving a problem and giving them an idea, and plus communicating that you have half a clue of what you're doing and an appreciation for their industry. And then what I go on to do is I go on to say this. I go on to say, always included. There's no time limit in the studio. We make sure you get the images you love. That's completely meaningless. Don't let that stress you out. They're not going to hang around here all day, I promise you. Most people want to get in and out ASAP, but I just say that just to put their mind at rest. I cannot think of a single instance where they want to hang around for the day. I can absolutely promise you that. Also say wardrobe changes so you can see what you like best. In the case of most corporate things, I'll have one outfit, but that is in fact to encourage people to spend more money, because I will see photos with multiple outfits and then they'll go, oh, that looks good. And they'll want to buy more photos. I guess what I'm saying is you'll often see 30-minute studio time, 2 looks, as if like it's a big thing. You know what I mean? Just keep it simple. Just let them wear they want to wear, and I promise you'll have more opportunity to sell them more photos. Photographs in high resolution, internet resolution, and email signature resolution, because that's always a big question that comes across. Often their marketing people will want that. I put unlimited commercial usage rights for print and the internet. I don't care anymore what they do with them. If they become an international bestseller and they put that photo on the front of their book, or they want to use it for a billboard, I don't care anymore. Like, whatever, who cares? They will just get to use them, and it just keeps it simple. I mean, how are you going to police it anyway? You know what I mean? So that's why I do that. And also, I figure I've got a lot of my photos on billboards, on the back of buses and things like that. I think it's cool. I can actually point to those things as being social proof that, you know, the work that I do is suitable for that work. It's almost like free advertising. So that's the way I look at it. Now, this is kind of important. Executive photoshopping, so people look their absolute best but still look like them. Now, I just called it executive photoshopping years ago, just to give it a name. Rather than calling it retouching or editing, I call it executive photoshopping because people know what photoshopping means and people know what executive means. So it's a name that I invented. Feel free to use it. I didn't, I haven't got a patent on this term. And then I go on to say, real-time viewing of the photographs. So you get the photos that they love, no photo regret, meaning I actually show them either on the back of the camera or via Wi-Fi to an iPad or tethered to a computer. Depends on the job. Different jobs require different things. That's actually a really big thing. And I mentioned that on the phone as well. I explained to them, I say, look, one of the things we do is we show you the photos as we go. So that way then your team will select a photo that they love, okay, and they'll be proud to use, because if they don't like the photo, then they're not going to use it. They're not going to put it on LinkedIn, and they're not going to be happy with it. Whereas if they do love their photo, it means that they will use it with pride, and it will mean that they'll actually, you'll get some more value out of it. And that's the way I frame that up. Posing and facial coaching to convey the message and brand to look their best. So I go on about this a little bit in the phone call. If they're criminal lawyers, they want to look like badasses as well. But like a family lawyer might want to look more, professional and approachable. Accounting firm might want to just look professional. It just depends, So that's what I'm talking about there. Expert advice on preparation and wardrobe advice. Respect, decorum, efficiency, and professionalism is assured. That's actually important to a lot of the bigger places now. They like to understand that that I would be sensitive to their work environment, if it's especially if it's a has multiple, what's the word I'm looking for? If they have multiple cultures and things like that to worry about, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So then I just give a total price. This is important. Don't give them a billion options. It's too difficult. People don't understand it. In this case, it was just $485. Okay, so piece of cake. Small tip if you're in Australia. Make it inclusive of if you register for GST, just simply say includes GST. Don't start breaking it down. Okay, so that's something that I know really pisses people off, is when you quote an exclusive of GST. I then have a breakdown of all the pricing and all the details, which they're welcome to click on with this link here. So it's got all extra details. It's got the volume, pricing options and everything like that. But like I said at the beginning somewhere, I said what I learned along the way is that if you give them all those options in a blob, they can't figure it out. They need a quote anyway, so you might as well just do it here. And then I go on to say, here are some examples of our work if you want to click here. And I can then go on to say, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you again. Me, photo of me, phone number, and the email address. And that's it. But it's a very strategic in the way that I quote. Okay, and just to go back over it again, you go, thank you for your quote, thank you for the opportunity to quote. You list the requirements, you list the comments and suggestions on the requirements, you list the stuff that they get, and then you list a final price, and that's it. Keep it really simple. And that, honestly, that will get you all the work you need. And if you get there first, that will generally get you the work also. I've found that price sensitivity is not really a big thing in this industry. People just want things done. The people who are organising the photos, the personal assistants and those types of things, they want to just cross it off their to-do list. They don't care about photography. They don't care. They just want to just get it done and out the door. Finally, the booking process, I just make it as easy as I can for them to book, okay? And what I mean by that is I don't require a contract, because I don't care, because meaning if they come here and don't like the photos, then I won't bill them. And you know how many times people have ripped me off and not paid me or whatever? Never. I've never had anyone not pay me. I've never had anyone steal photos, because I don't allow them to steal photos, because I show them in real time and just supply them finished product. So I just remove that obstacle, because getting contracts signed at this level is just a pain in the ass, to be truthful, because again, you're putting obstacles in the way for these assistants to book you. I don't require a deposit. That, again, has never been a problem. They just turn up, or I turn up there, and it all works out. And I don't require payment up front. If they offer it, I take it. Often they'll have like a credit card and they'll offer to pay you up front for sundry expenses, and then that's worth doing, obviously. But honestly, most of the time I just send them an invoice and I get paid. That's the end of it. It's really straightforward. Like I just said before, I've never not been paid. It's crazy. Not once have I had a problem. If you are interested in headshots, I think it's a very lucrative thing to get into. It's easy. I'm not really taking on huge amounts of clients anymore. But it's I'm just trying to think, like for the last The last month I did about $1,000 for the month, which is not much, obviously. There's $1,000 I didn't have, and it was really easy. And it was repeat clients. I didn't have to do anything. They just sent them in. I would typically bill, doing it like this as a side thing, between $1,000 to $4,000 a month. I had a repeat client book me for this coming week for one of the major banks. I'll bill them about 1,500-ish going on site and doing them, and I'll be in and out of there in the morning really quickly because I've got to do it before the bank opens. So there's that. But yeah, I think it's worth doing. And if you follow those steps that I explained here, you'll be absolutely fine. I just want to reiterate the one thing that gets you the work, and that is get back to them ASAP and provide a quote ASAP. Honestly, that's pretty much the secret to it. I'm serious. If you can do that for this style of photography, you'll be fine. Look, I'll leave it there. I want to thank you for watching. I really hope you got something out of this. I want to do something practical this time. If you did get something out of it, I would love you to subscribe to the channel. If you already subscribed to the channel and you did get something out of it or you enjoyed it or whatever, leave a like and a comment would be even better. Apparently that helps with the Google algorithm. Until next time, I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Take good care, keep on trucking, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you again.